Hi, this is Rabbi Young. Thank you once again for tuning in to our pre-recorded weekly email. You may be aware that I'm on sabbatical as you watch this, but I decided to record weekly messages for you. So if there's something topical that's happening in the news that you're wondering why I'm not commenting on it, it's because I did this a while ago. So this week's Torah portion is the last portion in the book of Genesis. It's called Vayechi. And in Genesis chapter 48, there's a moment where Jacob blesses his grandchildren, Joseph's sons, who he has just met as he's dying. And he kind of Joseph brings his sons Ephraim and Manasseh over to Jacob, and Jacob puts his right hand on Ephraim's head and his left hand on Manasseh's head, and Joseph says, no, the other, Ephraim is firstborn, so put your right hand on his head. And he says, Jacob says, I know who's older. I'm not, quite losing all my faculties yet, but this is the way we're doing it. And so he blesses them in a way that Joseph sees as backwards, because the older child should have gotten the right hand. This idea of bucking primogeniture is rampant throughout all of the book of Genesis. Abraham is not the firstborn. Isaac is not the firstborn. Jacob is not the firstborn. Joseph is not the firstborn. And Ephraim and Manasseh are in what Joseph sees as reverse order. But really, it continues the custom of bucking primogeniture, even though Manasseh is the firstborn child. We have a tendency to do what we always know. This is the way things are done. The firstborn gets all the best stuff, but that's never been the case in the Bible. We have constantly been saying, no, we don't need to give primary concern to the eldest just because they're the eldest. We should talk about virtues and what people deserve and how they live their lives. And the same is true whenever we buck a tradition. Whenever we say, you know what, we don't really need this anymore. We don't really need a second day of holidays because those second days started when people weren't aware what day it was, and they may have gotten the message late. So we don't necessarily need that anymore. Or we don't need a repetition of the Amidah because we've said it already. We don't really need to do it anymore. Like we're changing for the times. And sometimes when we have customs that we really love, that we really like, we just fight against that change. We have a really hard time helping make that change happen, and we resist it. One of our congregants told me that you'd never want to be the last person bringing a typewriter to work when everyone else is using computers. And I don't remember exactly who said that. So if it was you, thank you so much for that teaching. And it's the same thing with how we buck tradition. We might end up, a little like Jacob, a little awkward the way he had his hands on his grandchildren because he wanted to put his right hand on a different one than Joseph wanted him to. But that awkwardness eventually feels right. It feels so right that in the case of Ephraim and Manasseh, we still say, Yivarechecha ke'Ephraim u'Manasseh. May God bless you like Ephraim and Manasseh. We use Jacob's order of blessing the children when we bless our own children. So hopefully the customs that we think are uncomfortable or difficult or maybe that we even resist today become the natural way we do things in the very near future. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you soon.